Welcome to the Social Podcast, where no discussion or debate is off limits.
Welcome everyone to The Social. We'd like to welcome back comedian and content creator Carly Thorne. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me.
All right, listen, I don't know if you heard about this, but Janet Jackson is in a little bit of hot water today. So she made some false remarks about Kamala Harris's biracial identity. Wow. When she was asked by The Guardian about the prospect of the first black female president, Jackson said, quote, "She's not black, she's Indian." Wow. Yes, and we know Harris's mom is an immigrant from India and her father a black man immigrant from Jamaica. Okay, for the record, we know this. This is fact. So is this going to help or hurt Kamala in her bid for the White House? Sin?
Well, first of all, let me just say, I don't know about anybody else, but I was kind of surprised, shocked, I will say, by these comments. Right? I realized in that moment, though, that I've never actually thought about the whole Jackson family and their political leanings. Like, I've never thought. I've just made an assumption, I think, because they're artists, and I assume a lot of times that artists are always a little bit left-leaning, that she also, but also she wrote Rhythm Nation as well, right? Yeah. Wasn't that a song about, dissolving color lines, and it was about, you know, like,
social justice anthem.
Justice. So for me, was shocked, and it begs the question, what kinds of internet rabbit holes has she fallen down?
Yeah.
And also, what about her team? Because presumably, they also are supporting these falsehoods. Yeah. Which is really disturbing, guys.
It's sad. It is sad. Yeah.
She also said that she was like, I mean, I haven't watched the news in a few days.
She did.
Which is like, I don't watch the news every day, but I also don't make sweeping generalizations about strangers' race.
Yeah.
It's not hard. Like, what do you mean?
It's not too complicated, is it?
Oh my gosh. Well, I think this could actually help Kamala to a certain degree, because there are 34 million multiracial voters in the USA. And that moment, and several before, because I believe her opponent in the presidential race, Donald Trump is his name, he's also been suggesting, like, she's decided to be black right now. She's not black enough. She's too black, putting all of these sort of theories forward. And I think that people who are biracial in America would be like, oh, I can sympathize with her, because they have lived their lives wondering, who am I too much of today? Who should I be too little of tomorrow? Who am I, essentially? Like, they don't fit into a box.
Yeah, I feel like you're talking to me.
Yeah, exactly, Mel.
Yeah, that's exactly the plight of... It was triggering. All of the talk about Kamala's racial identity has been very triggering for me as a mixed kid, because I wasn't Asian enough growing up for some groups. I wasn't white enough for other kids. And you spend your whole life wondering, like, what am I? Who am I? Who am I supposed to be? Who am I supposed to suppress? It's really, really tough. I think Kamala's bigger than that, because she's a lot smarter and wiser than I am, and she's lived. But what I will say is I think it will actually help her. I think, shockingly, even though Donald Trump seemingly was the one who started all of this, when he says, I didn't know she was black until she started saying she was black. Like, it just sounded ridiculous. But also, there are a lot of Republican voters, maybe independents, who don't know who to vote for. So might it help those people if they think she's half white? That's a real stretch. No? No.
You're galaxy braining right now.
I'm galaxy braining right now. Yeah. But one thing that I'm also shocked with who it's coming from is Janet Jackson, is her own child is mixed. She has a son named Issa. His father is Wissam Almana. Her own child is mixed. She understands what mixed kids are all about. So you don't understand Kamala? Right. I think this smells of something a little more wicked.
It does, as you were saying, internet rabbit hole. She's not immune to them. It kind of is like celebrities just like us, or just like your crazy family members, at least. Like, she is not immune to going down those rabbit holes, even if she's a liberal, a Democrat. Like, those rabbit holes exist. They're bipartisan.
Yeah. Except that it always seems to be coming from one direction. Like, I can't help but think of Pizzagate, right? Which, of course, was like Hillary Clinton had some child sex ring in a pizza parlor. People bought into that during that election.
People shot up the pizza joint.
Exactly. And then there was, of course, the birther argument, you know, Barack Obama. There was this question of, was he born? Like, that all seems to be conspiracy theories coming from one direction. So I'm surprised. Again, I will say I'm shocked and I'm disappointed. Janet Jackson, we're looking at you.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay. Well, going to some better news. Here's a real goodie. A man posted on Reddit to complain that his wife insists on making all her gifts for him, and he's not a fan of her craftsmanship. He said he asked for a $25 book, even sent her the link for his birthday, and complained when she gave him a homemade bookmark instead. It didn't go over well. She called him an ungrateful jerk. So, Carly, take a side. Who's right and who's wrong here?
Okay. Well, okay, I'm gonna take you for a walk and come with me.
Okay.
If I knew that my husband, I'm not married, but if I had a husband and he was posting about our relationship on Reddit, I would make homemade gifts for him to torture him because that's an insane thing to do. Why are you posting about our things on our Reddit?
Do you think she's doing this intentionally?
And I think she's a genius, and I think she's my president. If you wrong me, you are getting a homemade gift like a bookmark that is so terrible.
Yeah.
And I'm going, I made this from the bottom of my heart for you.
Yeah.
She's being really ironic.
I hope
She's
so.
trolling him.
She
to a
should.
certain
I think so.
extent.
I think she made a bunch of homemade gifts for him. He said he didn't like them. He sent her the link, and then she made another one. To me, she's trolling him or doubling down.
I've never seen a knitted bookmark. Like, by their nature, aren't they supposed to be a little bit stiff? Right? That's what I thought. I think, in my opinion, I think they're both being jerks. I think, first of all, there's something to be said for if you, like, crafty people make crafts, and I love crafty people, but they obviously mostly don't want to keep all the crafts themselves, so they give them away.
Oh.
And not everyone wants, like, a knitted bookmark or, like, a macrame plant holder, right? So, like, that's the thing. Like, I think he was right to say, I would really like a book. It's quite diabolical that she not only didn't give him the book, she gave him a thing.
If someone sends me a link saying, here's what I want as a gift, that negates it being a gift. This is you putting in an order. Anyone sends me a link, here's what I want, here's what I want. I'm like, well, that's what you're not getting.
I get that. I understand that.
Get garbage. I'm going to give you a garbage bookmark.
As a result.
I love her.
Okay, if we go with that for a second, don't you think, I read it as the reason why he started to send her links is because there were so many bad gifts that he's like, also don't waste your time. If it's handmade, that's many hours of work, and he's saying, honey, don't waste your time.
Right.
Just do this instead. At first I was like, she's the total jerk here. Because why? It's not like he's not communicative. He's actually telling her, honey, thank you so much, but like, this is not actually useful to me or whatever. You know, like, I think he's probably said it a lot nicer than her. But then I said, you know, I never like to go against women because we're really smart. And I think that this is her trolling him. And I'm going to share a little quick story. You know, every time my husband borrows my vehicle, he always leaves a disaster behind. He leaves stuff all over the dashboard. He leaves his garbage. And I always say, babe, I love you. Please take your mess with you. And he doesn't listen. Then he does it again, and he doesn't listen. So I just started doing my own little thing. Sorry, my bangs are on this side. I will give him the truck with no gas every single time. So I'm like, oh, you're not listening to me? Oops, forgot to fill up the truck. So what I'm saying is she being a jerk or is she super, super smart? Oh my God. I'm so smart. I think she's being smart. I think she is.
So whether you're a parent or not, you probably have opinions on the way that kids are raised these days. And recently there's a lot being written about how today's gentle parenting is too rough on mothers and fathers who are trying to be like their own who are trying to not be like their own authoritarian parents. So do we think gentle parenting has done maybe a bit more harm than good in ways?
This one's really, really hard because, you know, we're parents. You know, our kids are both 10. Your son's almost 11. And is parenting different today than it was when we were kids? Absolutely, right? We can all agree that society is really changing. There's a lot of new challenges that our parents, quite frankly, never had. We have different challenges. I talk all the time about the fact that my parents were immigrants just trying to survive. The idea of thinking that I had any kind of psyche that could be damaged by the way that they were raising me, it didn't cross their mind, right? It was survival mode. Having said that, though, has it gone too far? Yeah. You know why parenting is really hard today, in addition to everything I just said, is because we are so cognizant that we all have had, you know, different parts of our childhood, the way that we were parented, that we don't want to pass on to our kids. That's really, really hard. Again, that's not something our parents had to worry about or thought about, but I don't want to pass on things that were really tough for me onto my kids. And if that means that parenting is hard, parenting is supposed to be hard. You have the responsibility to raise another human being. It's going to be difficult. Does that mean, however, that I don't believe in consequences? I believe in consequences. And I think that is what we have lost in gentle parenting.
As a non-parent,
this is the non-parent side.
this is completely observational, but I think it's doing so much harm, not on the kids, but on the parents. I get so protective of my mom friends when I see that their kids are essentially holding them hostage. That's how it feels as the observer looking in. It's like these little human beings who are not able to articulate a feeling, hold a thought in their head, make a decision because their brains are still soft, are holding all the cards. They're holding all the cards, and I get so protective of them. I'm like, the kids know what they're doing, too.
I know. I feel what you're saying. Some of them. Right? Like, so there's almost like there's two schools of thought. There's the school of thought, which is that like kids, you know, when they sass or they do something wrong, like just go to your room or do this or do that, and you just there's a person who's in charge, and the kid is not that person, and you do as you're told, and that's that, right? And I think that's what we're trying to resist against, because I don't know, for me, it's I think that our relationship with our parents is also the relationship that we end up modeling our future relationships in. And so I will admit, I don't know if anyone can relate to this, that when I get into an argument with my partner, I sometimes revert into that little kid mode, right? I go back into these childhood wounds, and there's things that are resurrected that we've dealt with in therapy, we're still dealing with, and I don't want my son to do the same thing. What I'm trying to model with my son, and it is exhausting, is for him to be thoughtful, to be curious, to be in charge of his emotions, to not fly off the handle. And yes, is it painstaking? I was recently out this summer with my mom, and she was watching me try to parent Jaya, and she said she had to walk away. And
a lot of grandparents do.
I get that, because she's just like, just tell him what it is. And ultimately, there was a kind of like, and we're doing this. But I respect him as a human being, and I think that's what we're trying to do that maybe sometimes our parents didn't do.
Well,
do you respect kids? I know that's a dangerous, controversial thing. Sorry.
No, I do think the idea of like good parenting is like new, like it just dropped. Like I think that parenting is so hard. I don't want to do it. I'm never going to do it. I think any parent is stronger than all of the U.S. Marines combined. It's the hardest job in the entire world, and to on top of that, try and raise a good person is so noble, which is why I'm like, absolutely not, peace out. But to raise, especially a boy, because when you're a young woman and you're dating men and you go, what do you think? And then they go, I've never had a thought in my life.
That's right.
What do you feel about that? You're having a conversation or you're having a fight and they go, I don't know what I'm feeling. I've never had a single feeling. That could be fixed by raising boys to become men.
I love that you're saying this.
I love this too. And you have done an incredible job. But the majority of people, what are there, 8 billion people on planet Earth now?
Sure.
The majority of us are good people. Like, the majority of us are good.
Yes, I agree.
So, I understand what you're saying. It's really beautiful, actually, everything that's been said, and I agree with it. But I wonder if the pendulum has swung so far to the
I think it has.
side
I think some parents have forgotten the word no.
Yeah.
Some parents have forgotten how to say no. And that is true. Yes.
No, definitely. I believe all these things, and then when I'm in a restaurant and a child is screaming, I abandon those thoughts immediately, and I go, can we please take the child out of the restaurant?
Don't ask a 3-year-old what they want for dinner because they don't know. Times are tough. So I have to thank the good people who organized Toronto's cat tour. A walking tour where you can meet and greet as many neighborhood kitties as possible. Isn't this gorgeous? Carly, what's your take on this? Would you partake?
Oh,
do you have a
okay.
kitty?
I do. So I have a cat. Her name is Sophia. She's my best friend in the entire world. I love her. She hates me and scratches me every single day. She doesn't care for me. So I love this. I love the idea of walking around and meeting other cats. My cat would not participate in this. She would scratch. You want to talk about gentle parenting? I gentle parent that cat.
Look what you got.
She scratches me and I go, let's make a kinder choice. And she goes, no. So I love idea of getting to meet nice cats.
You know what I love about this? When I looked at this video, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so nice. And I realized as a lifelong dog owner, the reason why, I would never do this to her, just for the record, even though I love cats, but it's because we as dog people, we get to actually do a dog show every day at the dog park. When you go, you're like, oh my God, is that a new leash? Yes. It's true. Oh my God, it's got a new collar? Yeah. Did your dog get a blowout? Yes. Like, we actually get to show off our pets with each other every day.
And it's community building, and I think that's it. Like, cat owners are a particular breed of people, and I think they do need to connect more.
What are you saying? What are you saying?
Oh, no, in a good way. I'm a cat. I'm a cat owner. I will just say it would have gotten awkward when my cat was alive because our cat was a stray who wandered in off the streets. And we found out later on, it was legend on our street, that he was owned by a previous house in the neighborhood. In fact, one day I was walking down the street and someone said to my cat, whose name was Sally Hot Dog, they said, oh, hey, Simba.
Simba.
So somebody knew him as another person. So if we were doing a community cat stroll, I think there would have been some awkward conversations about, wait a minute, that's my cat. That's my cat. So anyway.
Yeah, I have different names for the different cats in my neighborhood when I see them on the street.
Okay, good. Okay, good. That's good to know.
So maybe it's not a former life, it's just a nickname. It's a street name.
Let's go with that.
Street name. It's a street name.
Love it.
Subscribe to the Social Podcast so you don't miss a fiery debate. Until next time, socialites.